And spawning in the top left position as the red Zerg player coming in from Quantic Gaming, it is HyuN trying to break this current stalemate of sorts. And his opponent in the bottom right position as the blue Zerg player coming in from TeamLiquid. He just beat center. It is Snute. So that game, pretty good play. I think we saw, like I said at the beginning of the game, if anyone can beat Koreans, it's Snute my boy. As far as the foreigners go on TeamLiquid, I think Snute and TLO really been carrying that foreigner banner quite well for this team as of late. So, as far as everything else that's been going on here, this is game number 7. We've got a pretty nice tied setup here. As far as the players that are remaining, I think it's pretty much just HyuN, and we have behind him potentially we had a PvP I think already. Stream. I guess Hwangson is still available. Potentially Masan, some other Quantic players, but that's pretty much it. And I think if you guys have looked much into the previews, at least for Acer TeamStory Cup or this seasonal stuff, Quantic is kind of known as one of those teams that kind of falls off a little bit once you get past their Korean lineup. But that's the beauty of TeamLiquid, is you do have the very tough foreigner lineup, as well as the fact that right now TeamLiquid still, I'm pretty sure, has Tasia. And by that, I say pretty sure, I mean, sometimes these guys are sleeping or they're busy during these types of things. But I believe we could potentially see him come out here. And of course, they still have TLO. So 2 very strong players at the minimum left for TeamLiquid. And aside from that, then we can of course see in an ace match we could end up having any player brought back. So there's a wonderful world of possibilities here. Spawning pool is about to finish up, and both of these players are playing pretty normal games, by the way. Just you guys, you're wondering, saying, hey, what are these guys doing? It's pretty standard. They're getting their fast expansions up, getting their spawning pools and their gas. We'll likely see them spend the first 100 gas on Zergling speed, and then see them move into something like Zergling Baneling, while they try to get into a comfortable position for taking a 3rd base, and just trying to get into good positions to build drones. Now, if one of these guys were to not go for fast ling speed, it would be Snute. But I honestly don't think we're going to see Snute do anything really weird with early roaches. He is a player that in Wings of Liberty was a huge advocate of them, and that's kind of one of his things. He's a big lair-based player. Loves the roaches, loves them. Loves the lair, loves going into the hive tech. As we saw in the last game, he really didn't care too much for the hatchery tech. He wanted to get that roach speed pretty fast. He wanted to be able to move into the ultralisks and the infestors. And that's just, just him doing his thing. And HyuN, his Zergling's going to get chased away by Snutes. It's not really a big deal, though. Baneling Nest is on the way for Snute. So Snute's going Baneling Nest before Ling Speed. And this could be purely defensive. Perhaps he doesn't want to spend the money to actually acquire Ling Speed. He just wants to have the Banelings defensively, since he will have creep to move around on. And HyuN is not building a Baneling Nest. So both of these guys are taking interesting risks in their own way. I feel this could favor, not really neither. I mean, the fact that both of them cut something out means it's going to be even, because HyuN in the long run is more likely to use Zerglings in this matchup, whereas Snute, he just wants Banelings to be safe, but he can use Banelings with a big Roach all-in at some point if he wants to, and there's the Evolution Chamber, and I think this Evolution Chamber is going to be a big tell. Yeah, it's going to be a Roach Warren, so once you get +1 attack, in case you guys, just a little bit of throw some knowledge at you, +1 attack on Roaches allows them to kill Zerglings in 2 hits. So it's a pretty nice advantage. Snute will want to get that with his Roaches, and knowing that his opponent has the speed is a big sign for that. But I think what we're going to see HyuN do is just get a Roach Horn himself. Yeah, there it is. Now it's being made. 1-1 on the way for the Roaches. So both of these guys actually starting their upgrades at the same time. But HyuN moving into a faster 1-1. So where's the edge that the gas cut came from for Snute, for the speed? It's here in this slightly faster layer. And in all honesty, It's not the biggest steal ever, but he's about a minute ahead in lair timing compared to HyuN. So if he goes for something like a timing attack with his roach speed, he's going to be able to hit before HyuN has that. And he could try to maybe deny the third base for some drones to be made into spine crawlers. He has options. And I guess that's really what counts. So, Glial Reconstitution coming in. That is the Roach speed upgrade. Spine crawler's done. Has a very impressive spine crawler. And we have a Lone Ling just kind of poking at this hatchery. Sadly, this Zergling will not kill it, but at the very least, you can drag this queen away. And I love dragging queens away. It doesn't, you know, people don't give queen dragging enough credit because it can delay things like injects on other bases if you can pull them from far out enough. And yeah, I guess that's really the big thing. But Snute now gonna make an overseer in his opponent's base. No other tech commitment though. Keep that in mind. There's no Hydralistats, no Spires. It's just roaches for the moment. And here we have these Lings picking off creep tumors. I like this because HyuN wants to take out the creep. Of course, the creep gives speed and vision. And his Lings are much more mobile. As far as map control goes, the Lings are more mobile. It's weird seeing the changeling speedling, how slow it moves. But Snute, he's actually using his Overlord to drop a creep highway. He's moving these roaches out. And, you know, this is that timing that I mentioned where he can go for... he can actually go for a big attack, but it doesn't matter because HyuN has a lot of roaches anyway. He did have the faster roach speed. I have to give credit to Snute, but it doesn't really mean anything when your opponent has more roaches, or at least an even number. So that's just HyuN's crazy macro, where he can go for the bigger upgrade investment and still end up ahead. So, as far as what these guys are actually going to do, I think HyuN could get aggressive now. He does have an upgrade advantage. Keep in mind, he did go for 1-1 rather than just +1. And Snute, I mean, his roaches are kind of spread out. Is HyuN actually going to go in on this, though? That spine crawler adds in so much DPS. Yeah, he's going to do it. HyuN just wants to get an engagement here. He does have a good number of roaches. This switches over to the units tab. Currently, the roach count is up 10 for HyuN, and he might just try to bowl Snute over here with raw macro. This spine crawler is really adding in a lot of extra damage. I don't know if it's going to be enough, though. The roach count is really evened out, and Snute will hold this big attack from the Quantic Zerg player. I mean, you know, you engage into a spine crawler like that, you are asking for trouble, and HyuN does get held back. So this actually is really nice for Snute because prior to that attack, I think Snute was a little bit behind. HyuN had a lot more roaches than him. HyuN had a lot more roaches. But taking that fight in right there with the spine crawler, you say, okay, we have somewhat of an upgrade advantage. But you have an extra, 20, 30, actually, spine crawlers do a crazy amount of damage per hit, like 35 damage per hit being mixed in there with the spine. And that can be enough to get last hits or just soften them up really, really well. Now it looks like Snute wants to add a Hydralisk Den. Wants to move into the Hydralisk play. And holding off that attack does give him the comfortability to do that. Hydralisks in Roach versus Roach compositions are very powerful because if you can keep them behind your roaches, they just do so much DPS. And we actually see this Overseer throwing its Contaminate onto this lair, which is going to prevent it from producing larvae, I believe. Which is nice, you know, it's like 40 seconds of no larva production. So that's actually really, really cool. And it actually delays the larva inject as well. So, it's just kind of, it's neat. We don't see that enough. And now, Snute, well, he's maxed. He wants to try to put on a bit more pressure. And as a Zerg player in this situation, your goal is to slowly trade away your roaches into more and more Hydralisks. Because Hydras, while they are good, they're squishy. You don't want to have too many because then your opponent's Roach army will just kill them since they have very low health. But with this setup, ooh, HyuN getting a really nice concave on this, but these Hydras adding in a ton of DPS. Snute, his supply is dwindling, but so is HyuN's, and both players actually remaxing very quickly. I feel like the longer this fight goes on, though, the better it's going to turn out for Snute, and Snute is pushing HyuN back into his natural expansion. This is exactly what Snute wanted to do. Having Roach Hydra versus just Roach is such a huge compositional advantage for Snute. These Hydras just do so much damage, and you know what? He's not going to press in. He's not going to try to kill HyuN right now. He's going to pull back. He's going to say, yeah, you know what? Let me get a couple more Roaches mixed in here. Let me grab the rest of my units, and then I'll push in and try to punch your face through. So he just needs to be careful. He does have 10 Hydras. That is a crazy amount of extra DPS. And HyuN, despite any type of positional advantage that he does secure, you know, these Hydras are really, really strong. And now we have another fight going on. Snute's trying to press in. The Hydras do have the range upgrade. They're doing everything they can. HyuN, though, he's trying to punch in, trying to abuse how weak some of the Roaches are, but the Hydras are still holding strong. The Hydras are not dead yet, and Snute is going to convincingly take this fight, I think. There's only about 4 Hydras left, but with these 4 or 3 that are left will be enough. Now, 20 Roaches are finishing for both players. The only thing that here is that Snute's Roaches are on the other side of the map, so he will be held back for now. A couple more of these Roaches are going to stream in, but once the reinforcements arrive, this gets so dire. The drones even being pulled to help make sure that Snute is thrown away. We actually see some, was that burrow play from HyuN? It's kind of neat to see that, trying to just get his health. And what HyuN is doing with the burrow is he just wants to be able to recover his health. Roaches regenerate really fast when they're burrowed. See that tooltip. And HyuN and Snute, I think what he wants to make sure is that he doesn't just get locked in the Roach mindset, and he's not. He's going to continue to produce Hydras. This is where things get weird, though, because HyuN is now also producing Hydralisks. So Snute no longer has this free edge. But I think on the units lost tab, actually, no, this is pretty much dead even. HyuN's only down about a couple hundred in resources, which doesn't mean anything at this stage in the game. So this game's actually been really tight. It's going to come down a lot to who has more Hydralisks. And now that both players have Hydralisks, it's going to become it's going to become really difficult, I think, for either player to win without a good positional play. You know, Roaches don't win with good position versus Hydras because Hydras have range, but Roach Hydra versus Roach Hydra, the concaves mean everything in the engagements. And here we go. Snute's going to come in here. We're going to see him contaminate this lair once again. He's just messing with him. I love it. That's so annoying. It's so annoying. It costs 125 energy. It's way better than having changelings. I mean, you guys can hear this waterfall sound. But yeah, there's a lot of Hydras here for HyuN. Snute also has a lot of Hydras. Who has more? It's 20. Wow, Snute is almost doubling the Hydralisk count of his opponent. So Snute wants to go heavy on Hydras. HyuN wants to go heavy on the Roaches. And this should favor Snute if he gets a somewhat decent position. And there he goes now. A lot of these Roaches for HyuN are actually caught behind the Hydralisks. Same thing happening to Snute, but it looks like HyuN is getting that concave that he needs around this entire force. Now the Hydras for HyuN really going to town, and Snute is taking a huge amount of damage, but he might actually win this. I think HyuN has the +2 armor helps so much in Hydra versus Hydra, just slowly picking each other apart, and Snute is collapsing under this pressure, his supply falling so low. The Hydras for HyuN, they will eventually be held off by the rallying out reinforcements, but HyuN's done a lot of damage. He's secured a real supply lead, and I say real in that it's not just like, okay, I killed off some of your army, and I've, but defender's advantage means that you're still okay. This next push from HyuN should be able to just break Snute's spinal cord. Kind of reminds me like watching, like, you had like the long intense fight, and then this is the part where Bane's just gonna pick him up. Can Snute hold here? There's so much from HyuN. The spine crawler that was a hero earlier is now dead. The Roach force just completely collapsing behind this pressure, and this is going to be it. GG, well played from Snute. HyuN tilts things in the favor of Quantic again, and now we have a 4-3 map score. So good play by our Quantic Zerg. That's actually a really good game, I think, on both sides. Snute did a lot of damage earlier on, but HyuN's macro was just absurd. HyuN played more greedily, got away with it better. And macroed crazy hard. But what to do comes up next for TeamLiquid, guys. I'm stretching, and I'm Nathanias. We're going to the next game as soon as we can.